Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.
Good evening and welcome to the Let's Talk Show here on UrbanCast. I'm Jack, and tonight we're diving into a topic that's becoming more and more urgent and more controversial as the days go by. Carbon capture sequestration is what we're going to talk about here this evening. Many of you have reached out with concerns about what's being proposed at the former International Paper Plant here in Central Louisiana, over in Pineville. Joining me tonight is Miss Melody Slocum, a passionate and informed voice representing us as a concerned citizen who speaking out about this project and potentially impact on our community. Before we get started this evening, we've been getting a lot of feedback about our platform and news. And so before we get started, I want to make a quick statement. Remember, this platform is about each and every one of you guys out there. We definitely like it when you share, drop your questions, ask questions, share, comment, and different things of that nature during the show itself. And also, after it's over, make your comments out there. That's what we want. That's what we're about. We're about communication. We're here to inform, not to inflame, because UrbanCast doesn't make news. We just tell it. Some political folks have started calling us too negative or fake news. But because we don't lie, we won't stay quiet as well or hide public information. That has made some uncomfortable, and that means we are doing our job. To our future advertisers and marketers, UrbanCast is at nearly 10 million views every 28 days on our news content. And the question that we have is, can the outlets you're using currently say that same thing? Are they even tracked by Nielsen ratings? Probably not. So ask yourself, why? UrbanCast is growing because we tell the truth and we empower everyday people. And that's what some folk cannot stand. This is Let's Talk. This is UrbanCast. Your voice, your news, your power. That being said, how are you doing this evening, Melody?
I'm doing great, Jack. And thank you so much for allowing me to come on and just kind of discuss what's going on in the community, in the parish, in Central Louisiana as a whole. I truly appreciate the fact that you will take a public interest like this and just put it out there so people do have an option to get out and find out for themselves what's going on.
Okay, all right. That being said, Melody, for those who haven't been following closely, can you tell us what's being proposed at the OIP plant in Pineville?
Well, Jack, that is a great question. And I imagine that you know exactly as much as I know. You may know more, actually, because the only thing that our community has been made privy to is what has been put out on the internet or what has been talked about at local gas stations. We've not had an opportunity. No big companies have contacted us for public meetings. No local politicians have had public meetings and said to the public, this is what this meeting is for. Come out and let's learn. Let's see what you feel about things. And so, to be honest with you, I encourage everyone to come on out Monday night. We are going to have a community meeting where we have gotten people who have been in the trenches from other parishes who have been fighting this battle and know what we're looking at and just kind of educate us as to what we can expect.
Mm-hmm. So in essence, you're doing a fast study and coming up to speed all at the same time. And
you're absolutely right. We learned about it a few weeks ago, and honestly, just as I said, word of mouth. Stopped at a gas station. Someone said, "Hey, you know what they're fixing to do at the paper mill?" And Jack, the thing about it is that while we do live within close proximity to that paper mill is so strategically placed, it will affect so many people. Not only Pineville, Colleen, Pineville, Ruby Wise, Smithville, Wardville, across the river in Alexandria. There's just going to be, it doesn't stop just because there's a few houses between you. We are all very close to one another.
Yeah, when you think about it, driving over there is one thing, but when you geographically look at the map, it's just right there by the river, and if you can just jump across the river, you're right there.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Everyone should at least, educate yourself and just find out what you can find out about this. And so that's why, that's the only reason we're doing a public meeting, because there hasn't been one. We don't have any hidden agenda other than to find out what's going on and try to help others find out. It's a learning process. We're going to find out.
Okay. Why are you and the community members so concerned about this project? Let me
ask you this. Why wouldn't we be concerned about a project that is going to be right literally under our feet in our own backyard? Why wouldn't you want to know if someone was planning to do something? I mean, if you look on the internet, it'll scare you to death about these things. So that's why we have got to go into this and use good judgment and just kind of be educated. We have to know. Do you know that right now today in the Senate, they're voting on our property rights, eminent domain? If you're familiar, I'm sure you are, but if the community is, eminent domain is when normally it should be government emergency situations, but now Louisiana has decided to take it upon themselves to allow eminent domain to private companies, and this particular being a billionaire-owned company, the right to come in and basically take your land away from you, for their needs. It's basically to benefit the company at your rights, takes away your opportunity for your mineral rights. It's just eminent domain. It's a big hot topic, and that's something that we're going to look at it also Monday night.
Wow. And what and I think you did say it again, but I'm just going to follow up again. What makes you think that what makes this site, the site itself, especially troubling?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know why. Again, I'm just going to go back to saying I'm no expert in this field by far. I've simply tried my best to educate myself as well as possible. This is why we're having a community meeting, because we don't know enough. But it's troubling just to know that a plant of this magnitude is going to be near you and it affect you, and that they're going to be the potential of this CO2 it's quite troubling. It's in my backyard and in many of yours.
Right. Supporters of the project say this project will reduce emissions and bring jobs to the area, and definitely we need some jobs here, because that's one.
Absolutely, you're right. We're all for jobs. But let me ask you this.
Right.
Reduce emissions where? Show me the proof that this is going to reduce emissions. Is it going to reduce our emissions? Show me the proof of what you've got for that. No one's showed us any proof of that. And as far as jobs, I am all for jobs. I want jobs for my community, but at what risk? I'm not willing to risk the lives or the health and the safety of my family and friends and my community for a few jobs. I don't believe that a few jobs should be dangled over our heads at that cost. And what proof do we have how many jobs there are going to be? I mean, I heard 500, then it went down to 300, then it went down to 100. Nobody's really telling us, who's telling us the truth here, Jack?
What role do you think the state and local leaders should be playing in either supporting or stopping or just telling us about this particular project as a whole? What's your thoughts about that?
Thank you for asking that question, Jack. That's a great question. Personally, I believe that the role of public officials is to represent the will of the people that vote for them. So, not to represent the big oil and gas companies, but to represent, and not to represent what they believe to be the best thing, but to represent what their constituents who put them in office feel. And the only way for them to know that is to go out there with full transparency and say, this is what's proposed, this is what we're thinking about. Do you know that our legislators, they voted on no parish opt-out? In other words, the governor gave them the right, all parishes, they could have opted out of this eminent domain situation. And I don't know, anyhow, they had the right to opt out of this. And so we actually, our local officials voted that, you know, we don't need that right. We don't get the right to opt out. So in other words, it won't come to a vote of the people. We can't opt out any longer. We could have at one point.
Again, you know, this meeting that's coming up, are you aware of any other meetings that have been held here in Rapides Parish? I know there was some over in Vernon Parish. Do you know where the public could actually give feedback to local officials?
Yes, sir, Jack. So this is the whole problem, and please know that I am no expert by far. I told you myself, and full disclosure here, I learned about this a couple of weeks, and I've been trying to educate myself, and I certainly don't want to give any false information. That's why I encourage everyone to please come out Monday night. We are having an open public meeting at Philadelphia Baptist Church at 6 p.m. There'll be people there to talk to. There'll be open discussions, times for questions and answers. And so many of your concerns can be addressed right there. But go back to your question, because I kind of lost it.
Oh, okay. I was just, you know, have the community members been given the opportunity to participate in meetings or feedback?
Yeah, there's been no meetings. You know, are you aware of any public meetings that have been held in Rapides Parish? Absolutely not. Yes, Vernon and Allen, some of them have held meetings, and they're educating their people. But that's the whole reason we're having this meeting, is because we've not had any meetings. Now, you know, there'll probably be more in the future, but this is our first meeting. This is the first meeting that has ever been, to my knowledge, brought up in Rapides Parish.
There is a question I hear, and it goes, it's on the screen there now. Can you see it? It says, why was the meeting scheduled when our state rep is in session and not able to attend? Will any of the people on that other side be in attendance?
So it's an open meeting. Anyone can come who wants to come. We have not closed the doors to anyone. And, you know, honestly, it's a short drive from Baton Rouge up here. And so I think anyone probably could make it. But, you know, it definitely wasn't intentional. It's very, very difficult to pull a meeting together and get the locations. You know, Philadelphia is a very busy place itself. And so this was one of few days that they had available. You know, so it's just it's the date that we found.
Oh, okay.
I would tell you, Jack, too, on another note, so this has been being discussed for what, 2 years? Why hasn't anybody, if they wanted to have a meeting, you know, we haven't been in session the whole 2 years, so why haven't we had a meeting prior to this? There's been plenty of time.
You raise a very good point there. Let's talk about safety. Sure. And I know you said that, hey, I'm not an expert on carbon capture. I'm basing my decisions based upon what I'm reading, and I think you clearly stated that. So, what are the long-term risks that residents should know about carbon capture being stored underground? What's your thoughts?
I'll tell you this. Let's just talk about safety, okay? I can do that. let's talk about our fire department, our hospitals, our emergency plan. Has anyone been contacted? Have there been any meetings with these people to discuss what would be, because in something like this, obviously you've got to have safety plans in place. I'm no doctor, but I've spoken to some healthcare professionals, and I've been told that in the state of Louisiana, there's only 2 trauma facilities at the right level that could possibly handle something of this magnitude if there were to be a leak or something like that. And Rapides Parish is certainly not one of them. So, in my to my knowledge, the fire departments have not been contacted, nor the hospitals, or an emergency plan put in place. So there is no emergency plan. There's no safety plan in place. And like I said, Jack, let's just go back to this. 2 years it's been going on. Nobody's been contacted. So, I think it's time that we get together as a community and at least talk about what the potential is. This is the thing. What it looks like to me, there's no real benefit to this for our community. There is no real benefit. The risk to the community greatly outweighs any benefits. Of course, there's benefits to the billionaire who owns the company. I mean, first of all, he's taking advantage of all the federal tax credits that come in. In fact, let me just tell you this, in my personal opinion, I don't believe this would even be happening. We would not even be having this discussion if it weren't for the federal tax credits. That might be a question for you to ask that company themselves. They probably wouldn't even be here if they didn't have those federal tax credits.
There is a lot of things out there about the safety of carbon capture, and there's tons, and I would assume now that we are beginning to have some meetings, and the community is coming up to speed and saying, hey, we want to find out a little bit more, and I think some of those safety aspects of it is something, it even merits its own discussions. And so we'll come back and wrap around on that one, and we'll reach out to some of the experts out there to come in and and tell us just what could happen with CO2. I know we did a little research. We did put a basic article up today, talking about the pros and cons of carbon capture, and a little bit. So there is some jump off information. We'll probably take a little bit a deeper dive as we move forward and talk about some more of the stuff. There are reports that similar projects across the country, across the state, have leaked or raised environmental concerns. How much trust do you have in the regulators to protect the community? I know you just said, you talked about the hospitals and different things of that nature, not, all of this going on and there's no emergency plan or anything. What's your thoughts about that?
So my thoughts is zero trust. And the reason there's zero trust is because we know zero about this. We've not been given the information. I'm not here to spread anything, any scare tactics or anything like that, Jack. What I'm saying to you is that our community is not knowledgeable in what is fixing to happen or what they are planning and wanting to happen in our backyard. And so zero trust that we have anything in place that could handle any of this right now. And I don't think most of the community even knows or has any idea of what's going on. I know that truly I didn't. It was so quiet, and that is one of the problems with this. Anytime you do something like that in secrecy, it destroys trust. It destroys the public's ability to trust what you're doing. So, I think that's where our communication failed, is just that we weren't made aware of what was going on, and we weren't really asked or, given the opportunity to give our opinions.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe this is an issue of environmental justice? A lot of when we're talking about projects like this, often target areas where the folk are less engaged in the political process, and a lot of times situations like this with big companies, they are situated, very near, communities that are very impoverished, and typically you have an impoverished community, you have people who are not speaking up as well. Do you think did any of that have any fact in your opinion? What's your thoughts?
Jack, thank you. Actually, I think you hit the nail right on the head. And absolutely, I do believe that. I do believe that. Look at our area. I mean, we don't have a lot in the way of jobs and things like that. And, the truth is, though, what we do have is we have forest, we have trees, we have land. And, the areas where they're producing all of this bad carbon and stuff, they don't really have what we do have. And so, and yes, I do believe that it's very possible that our area was targeted for some of those reasons that you spoke about.
What message? And before I hit this question, I want to, I see that there are some comments that are flowing over here, and I do know that the one thing that we do over here at UrbanCast, and it's really important that all voices get heard, and and I applaud you, Melody, for just speaking up and starting this conversation. So because it had to start somewhere. But I also want to let those other folk over here know that anytime anyone want to have that conversation, we want to make sure everybody is actually hearing everything. So, at a future date, if you have a concern about carbon capture and its benefits in our community, let's have it. Let's talk about it. That's the name of our show. Let's talk. So that being said, I'm gonna jump back over here to my question. What message do you have for the residents who may feel this doesn't affect them, or who have been told this project is clean energy, a clean energy project?
Right. So the only message that I really have today, Jack, is that, land is a very special thing, and it's to be treasured. The place that you live and your home, where your kids grow up and your grandkids and your great grandchildren grow up, is very special, and it's to be treasured and not taken lightly. This question of eminent domain and your property, and who has a right to step onto your property at any time, that's a very serious issue. And I think it concerns all of us. If they can take the rights away from those right here around it, they can take the rights away from anyone in the state of Louisiana. The laws are going to be made for the entire state of Louisiana. This is pitted to be the largest hub. The Sentinel hub is pitted to be the largest in the entire United States of America. So we're looking at a large change in our community. And so the thing about it is, you can educate yourself and make your own decisions. I'm not trying to make a decision for anyone, but all we did as just a few people in the community came together and said, let's just find a location. Philadelphia Baptist Church was gracious enough to allow us to have a meeting there, to where we can have some people that will educate us and talk to us and give us information, let us ask our questions, and in a nice, friendly environment. No intentions of bashing anyone or anything, just coming up to terms with what is being placed out there. And so, look, like I said, there's been 2 years of nothing being told and nothing being said and nothing except decisions being made on our behalf. So I think it's high time that we pull together as a community and just talk about it, and then hold these people accountable. Let them know. Just express your concerns and your opinions to your local police jury, your local state representatives, your senators, your even your state, your local, your federal. All of these are going to be in play when it comes to this. This is not a small time thing. This is a billionaire company it's owned by a billionaire coming in here. So this is not some little bitty thing. It's big money, Jack.
What can the public do right now to get involved, in your opinion? By asking questions or demanding more transparency from companies and agencies involved. What do you think people can really do at this point?
You know, Jack, it's been tremendous, the amount of support, as far as, realizing that we're not the only people that didn't know what was going on, and that the community is interested, and they've stepped up. The community has stepped up to the plate, and they're wanting answers to these questions. And so the first thing you can do is, find a meeting to go to, find some real people to talk to, find a meeting. We're having the first ever public meeting on this at Philadelphia Baptist Church on Monday night at 6 o'clock, and we encourage you to come. You're welcome to come, and then at that point, make your decisions, take your action by, getting with your local, state, and federal elected officials, and voicing your concerns. If you don't open your mouth, if you don't take a stand, then you have no stand. I mean, sure, you vote for people, but you vote for them to represent you. And so every once in a while, they need to hear from you about how you do feel. Did I answer that question?
Yeah, you coming off of your vacation must have really hit.
Well,
before we get ready to get out of here, you go ahead and let us know again. When is the meeting? Who can we expect to hear from at the meeting as of right now? I know that you said that everyone is welcome to attend the meeting, but if you could just kind of outline, the way it's going to go, I greatly appreciate it.
Sure. So we put together some people who are very knowledgeable in this area, as far as they've been in the trenches and they've been going through the process. They've seen it. They know what has happened, and what to expect if this were to come to our area, and what we would expect to see out of that. So we have them in place to speak. We have a geologist that's also going to speak and on these things, and then at that point, anyone can ask questions, and we'll have a question and answer time. So I think it's going to be a real informative, great time, that you can come on out and educate. I encourage you to do so. And I hope you'll be there too, Jack.
Yeah. We are planning to cover the local meeting. That's for sure.
Good. That's great. That's great.
Right.
It's real encouraging to see UrbanCast, just get out there and like you said, not, just support the local things that are going on, the concerns of the citizens.
Right. And they're real. They're not, we don't make anything up over here at UrbanCast. We just tell what we see.
Exactly.
That's our and if it's that negative thing, if it's the positive thing, we cover tons of good stuff as well, and it resonates just as well. So we had to build a mechanism that we establish trust, and as such, we can tell everything in between. We can talk about this on a Sunday, and
there you go.
Yeah, and it resonates, and we can talk about a kid headed off to the military academy, and it works as well. So it doesn't matter. But
right, and Jack, I just want to say one last thing before we finish. About the concern about why the meeting so soon. Well, the truth is that this, they're already making decisions on this. We really didn't have we don't have a lot of time to sit around and wait on this. They're making decisions on eminent domain. They're making decisions as to fast track these wells and permits. We already know there's a number of permits that have been applied for and waiting to be accepted. But so this is all in play to fast track this thing. And so, if we're going to take a stand, or if we're going to have any knowledge of what's going on, now is the time. We really can't wait.
Well, again, that is a true statement. And for those of you guys who may have came in the show, here we're talking about this process of taking carbon out of this biomass, these wood products, and using the gas related stuff and using it in the shipping industry and all of that kind of good stuff. And then that byproduct, or that stuff that we don't want, that carbon, taking it away, pumping it in pipes, and then drilling holes somewhere and putting it into the ground. That's kind of what we're talking about. And hopefully, as we move forward, we'll get a little bit more information about it, and we'll get a little bit more technical information. I know we're going to be reaching out to some experts as well to come in and talk about it. But Melanie, I really truly appreciate you taking the time to be with us this evening, and certainly we're going to join you guys over at Philadelphia Baptist Church on tomorrow evening, and it starts at 6 o'clock, right?
That is absolutely right. And just remember, Jack, we're just normal community people. There's no big money here back in this. We just put together a meeting trying to get people together to information. But I can tell you this, that the company that is planning on coming in here will have far greater resources financially. And so you want to be aware of that. You want to be careful not to sign anything. Don't sign any rights away. Just wait, get your information, and then make an informed decision.
Again, Melanie, thank you for being here and for sharing your voice. Whether you agree or disagree, it is these conversations that move communities forward. To our viewers, don't just scroll past. Hit that like button, share button, comment, share it with someone who may need to know what's happening in their backyard. And comment with your thoughts and questions below. Melanie going to be checking them. We're listening. We want to thank our loyal followers, our supporters, and advertisers who continue to stand with the truth and transparency, especially in times when it seems to rattle some folk. Thank you. Definitely goes out to Sattlers Towing. Sattlers say you always have a choice in towing Long's products. They are one of our staple supporters, and legendary Kung Fu and Tai Chi over in Pineville. We also want to send a special thank you out to our class of 2025 sponsors, Attorney Tiffany Sanders. If you're looking for some legal support out there, go give Tiffany a call. Sellers put a bunch of emphasis on our students, and also District Attorney Philip Terrell. This is Jack, and this is Let's Talk on UrbanCast, where we don't make the news. I'm going to say it again. We tell the news. See you next time. If you can hang on in there, Melanie, we're going to end this stream.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.